Getafe manager, and
Yeah,
Jose Bordalas. I've never heard of him, but yeah, I've
no, I
never heard of
haven't.
never heard of the club either. I don't know where that club is.
It's
But
not
anyway,
encouraging, is it? Not encouraging
no,
at all. It's not
no,
exactly Barcelona, is it? No.
no, no. Yeah. Now, Bruno Fernandes. There's quite a lot that was that was said about him, and himself said a few things about his position at the club, his what he's feeling really being at Manchester United. And the first one that I was going to read is he said, "I feel lately that I'm on a tightrope." This is Bruno Fernandes. Now, I don't get that. I don't get that. When I say I don't get that, I respect what he said, but I don't see that. I don't see that in his demeanor when he's when
Mm.
he's playing on the field. And I certainly thought he was well liked by the management and fans alike at Manchester United. What could have brought this up? Do we know?
Yeah, it's interesting because for my part, first of all, I've
Mm,
said it before, I think he's a world-class midfield player. I think,
mm,
and in my opinion, the last couple of years when Manchester United haven't done so well, he's been the standout player. I mean, he's held it together like glue from the centre ground. Everything seemed to go through him. He's got great football vision. He's got a great ability to do a long pass cross field and land it at the person's foot. So, and of course, he scores goals. And the thing I think I like about him as much as anything else is that when he's in any position to cross the ball, even if he's
mm,
not down by the goal line, by the corner flag, he will always pump that ball into the middle because he knows there's always going to be a possible chance coming out of that cross. Not every time, but so many teams now, they seem to get in a position where they could cross the ball, which was always the tradition of football, really, to get a winger down to near the line and cross it so the centre forward or the other strikers have a chance of hitting a goal. They sort
mm.
of try to almost walk it into the 6 yard box by passing and one way or another. That's how it seems to work. I like with Fernandes, he always seems to understand it's the first priority, cross that ball into the danger area when you can, and he does that both in normal play and from free kicks and things like that. So yeah, I think he's a marvellous player. What I detected earlier this season watching them, and when I saw them, was that he didn't seem to have quite the same impact on the game as he's done before. And I observed that he seemed to be playing much more as a midfield forward playing player. In other words, not a defensive midfielder or a holding midfielder, but someone who was playing a bit forward of the ball. So of course it's almost inevitable he wasn't going to get quite so many opportunities to sort of be passed to and then feed it on to a striker or whatever he does. So I felt he was being played in a different position. Now, I don't know whether that is accurate, but then when I did observe that at a few games, and then I started to notice now he seems to be doing what he did before. He's back in more midfield centre, even getting back towards defence, like box to box midfielder, which is where I
Mm.
think he excels. I mean, he's a magnificent player. Now, I don't unless he gives context about being on a tightrope. I'm not entirely clear on that, but what I do know is in this close season last summer,
Mm.
undoubtedly I read that the club, for whatever reason, wanted to offload him. I mean, they were listing a number of players who they were going to get. Players who they were going to get rid of. And I couldn't believe it when they said that Bruno Fernandes was one of those players. Now, the only thing I would say to that is it may be, we know Sir Jim Ratcliffe was offloading a lot of not just players, but other workers. I mean, hundreds of jobs he got rid of because of the financial situation, whatever that may have been. So it probably was to do with Fernandes' salary, his wages there, which are probably enormous. And then and interesting. And I did read that they wanted him to go. And so when the season started and everything seemed to be the same with him, I thought that's good. They would have been foolish to get rid of him,
Mm.
assuming there's not massive financial problems. So he's still been playing. And then I think I read yesterday, I think it was only yesterday, that another player, and I didn't see who'd said it, but another player has said it's strange because they wanted to get rid of Bruno in the summer. Now that I thought, yeah, that chimes with what I remember that they wanted to offload him, and I think this thing I read yesterday said, in doing that, it would save them, and plus one or two other players, it would save them millions off of their salary bill. So that side of it probably was why I read in the summer that the club wanted to offload him, but to offload arguably their best player, albeit he's on a high salary, may not have been the most forward-thinking thing to do. So whether that, to come to your question about being on a tightrope, whether he means that he's not sure whether he's going to be kept there, that his future is there. Does he want it there? I mean, we know that I think some Saudi clubs are lined up to take him if and when the moment arises, and he'll no doubt, I imagine, he'll take it with open arms because they'll pay him an absolute fortune, as they do some of these other players who've gone there. And
Mm.
I think he will be a loss to England to British football, to the Premier League.
Mm.
I think he's a master at work. To watch him play football, I describe him as like a painter. He's a master craftsman. Most of his touches on the ball are just that. They are masterful. So I think he'll be a loss if and when he goes. But when we hear these things, I suspect the writing is on the wall, and he will
Mm.
be off at some stage, perhaps in January even.
Yeah. Well, I hope not. Well, I did at first. I did I did want him gone. I believe I've said
Why
it
was
before.
that? Why
Well,
did you want him gone?
it was just because of poor performance, I just thought, well, you're not really having an impact. If you're that good a player, we ought to see the impact of your contribution to on the fit on the pitch. And it was just bad results after.